Okay. We're just going to start from scratch. Okay, and we're back. Hello, everybody. Welcome again to the LSU Photosoc Creative Distancing stream. You join us today, having restarted the stream because Facebook Live is messing around with us today, apparently. So, I'm just going to start from the top. It's not like I've already been talking for 15 minutes, but it's fine because that's just how it's going to be. Today we are going to be doing some live photo taking with Sam Swift, who used to be the chair of LSU Photosoc and is still currently a student in the design school. And he's going to be joining us shortly. Before we get started with that though, we are going to be doing a quick few edits on some photos that I've taken today. So, our first idea with this stream is we want to do some still life, and we've picked different themes. Sam's going to do some bits later on his own ideas, but I've taken some photos of things that are helping me stay sane during our isolation. So, let me open up here, and here we go. So we've got a whole load of different photos. Today's photos are going to be on our usual website, so if you want to go and download them, you can head to this very link, scrolling past here, and that will allow you to download the last 2 weeks worth of sample images as well as this week's sample images. So you can just click on there and that will load up exactly whatever folder we send the link to, which is this week, hopefully. Yeah, so we're also going to be using Photopea and Photoshop today. So Photopea is an online editing tool which is very, very similar to Photoshop, but is totally free. So it's very, very good for what it is, especially since it's free. And it's actually incredibly similar to Photoshop. So this is what Photopea looks like. And this is what Photoshop looks like. We've got very similar tools. You can do most of the same edits in both Photopea and in Photoshop, but we're going to do a variety. Sam later on is going to be using Adobe Lightroom, which is almost like a step backwards from Photoshop, which allows you to use and edit all of your photos, as well as organize them. So we've got all of these here in the folder as well, so we can go through how we're going to do some Lightroom editing in a bit too. So, without further ado, while we wait for Sam to finish up getting ready, I am going to do a quick edit on one of the photos that I took for today's session. Now, I've taken 3 sets of photos effectively. One is of coffee, which is helping me wake up in the mornings and keep going through this very strange time. I've taken a set of photos of my trumpet. Not many people know that I play the trumpet, but it's been a great creative outlet during this time. I've spent quite a bit of time in the last 2 weeks playing along with modern song like sheet music as well as like Spotify, and I've been having a great time with it. Obviously being considerate of the neighbours, not being too loud, but we've got a whole load of both macro and like other shots of my trumpet, which we can edit. Whole load. And then finally, I've been doing a lot of cooking as well. Now, obviously, we're all going to need to be eating food still, so why not spend the extra time that we do have to cook something more interesting? So this morning, I baked some bread. So I took some pictures of that. Here it is on my counter just before it goes into the oven. And I've got some really nice close-ups of like the texture in the top of the loaf. I think these are going to be quite interesting to edit out and just look at the texture and that kind of thing. So, without further ado, I am going to start with some coffee pictures. Now, they're very cliche, and if anybody has been around Photosoc long enough, you'll know that we do like our cliche photos, because there's a reason they're cliche. Generally, they're quite good. And we all like to have a nice laugh about cliche photos. But, you know, they're good. So, I'm going to start in Photoshop. So we have a point of comparison. Now, each of these files has a JPEG file, which is very similar to what you would all be taking on phones and that kind of thing. And then we've also got Photoshop files as well, which you can open in Photopea and Photoshop, and Lightroom for that matter. So I'm going to pick up my Photoshop file and drop it into here. Now, I'd recommend starting with the Photoshop files if you're using Photoshop or Photopea, because they're going to give you a bit more range to edit. Now, people often get confused about what I mean by that. When we're editing, effectively what we're trying to do is take the photo an extra mile to be able to fulfill whatever was in your head when you took the picture. So I myself, when I take a picture, I have an image in my head of what it wants to look like. And sometimes it's not always quite like that when I actually look at my camera and go, oh, well, that's not quite what I had imagined. But through editing, we can take that photo and get it to the place where we had it in our heads. So in this particular one, I'm imagining we could probably do some kind of edit on it that makes it feel like a hazy morning or something. That's kind of what was in my head when I was taking this. But obviously it depends on what exactly you're taking a photo of. You know, if you're taking something of outside, or if you're taking pictures of friends or family, then you might want to do very different edits to something like this. But knowing what the tools are is very handy. So I'm going to start with a crop. So we use a crop tool to straighten out horizons, cut out extra little bits in the edges of images, and it is on our toolbar, which is all the way over the other side of the screen, on the left hand side. And I'm going to select it, and it gives me this lovely big box which I can drag around to whatever shape I want pretty much. But I'm going to pick my ratio. So if you go to this drop down here, you can pick the ratio that you want to use. I'm going to use a 4:5 ratio. So I click on that. That's going to give me a vertical portrait picture. Now, I like using 4:5 for a lot of photos, especially portrait, because I post most of my stuff on Instagram, and 4:5 is the most useful format for Instagram because it allows you to maximize the amount of vertical space that you're using, and it allows you to fill up most of someone's screen as they're scrolling. So I'm going to go by 4:5. Obviously, you can also go with some different aspect ratios. 2:3 is also a very common one. This is what most phone cameras and most larger cameras take photos in. So there's a whole load of different options, and you can play around with it. Obviously, you can do square photos as well. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to, I think, just bring this in relatively close. We're going to go with that, hit the tick. And the great thing about using Photoshop is if I decide I want to change this, I can go back into my crop tool and I can just move it around afterwards as well. So you can always go back and undo an edit that you've done if you decide you don't like it. I'm going to hit Ctrl-0 to bring it up to the size of our window here. And I'm thinking, what have we got going on here? You know what? It's not quite straight. I'm gonna click back on here and grab my crop tool, and I'm just going to rotate it slightly just to get it perfectly vertical. I'm using these cupboards at the top here as a reference point. Hit enter, give it a second, there we go. So if we zoom in, we've got all kinds of details in the coffee. Obviously we've got a lovely big Sports Direct mug. I've been using the Sports Direct mugs so much because big mugs of coffee are amazing. Or big mugs of anything, to be honest. But what I think I'm going to do is try and bring out more of this detail in this liquid here, because I really like the way that light's shining through it. So there's a load of different ways that we can do that. What I'm going to do is start by doing something that's unique to Photoshop, and you can also do it in Lightroom, we'll look at it later in Lightroom, called a camera raw filter. So I'm going to just double click on my layer. If we go to our layers panel up here, this is where all of our layers of our image will come in. So as we do edits, they're going to stack up as layers, and then we can choose what we see, what we don't see, and then we can edit each of those layers separately, which gives you a lot more flexibility than something like Microsoft Paint. A very obvious example there. So I'm going to right click on my layer and go to duplicate layer, and that's going to just give me a pure copy. And that means that any edits I do to the top layer won't be permanently done, because I can always go back to my original layer and they'll be blank. So I'm going to select my top layer, my copy, go to filter, and then go to camera raw filter, and that's going to bring up a new window. Okay, we've got more news on when Sam is going to be joining us. Sam is going to be joining us in about 15 minutes. So that means we've got about 15 minutes to do this edit, possibly another one, depending on how long it takes. So there we go. We've got our window open for our camera raw filter, and you'll see a whole load of new sliders. Now, if you look at our previous weeks of editing streams, then we go through a lot of these sliders, but I'm going to come down and I'm just going to start playing around with a couple of the ones lower down. And I'm going to go to top, get the hand tool so I can just move around as much as I want. Now this is quite warm already, so what I mean by warm is, if you think about, effectively, what's the best way to describe it? Well, I'll show you, here we go. So we can change the temperature of our image to make it warmer or colder. Now last week we did this to some frozen flowers and made them a lot colder, as if they were even more frozen or cold than the photos let on. On this one, I kind of want to get this kind of early morning kind of sunlight vibe going on, so I'm going to make it a little warmer. Like, it's going to bring that temperature across a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Then also we can change our exposure, go lighter, darker, change our contrast and all of that. These are edits that are very similar to things like Instagram. But actually what I'm going to do, is press the wrong button. What am I doing? Pressing the wrong button. I'm too used to using the numpad keys, and we've got those set up for the stream. So we've got edit, contrast. But we're not going to use that. We are going to come down to texture, clarity and dehazing, and these are fairly self-explanatory. Texture does minute details, so as you can see, if we zoom in down here to this worktop, as we increase the texture, you can see all of the marks of my yet to be cleaned worktop. It's been wiped down but not properly, like fully cleaned, so I need to get on that. But there you go. You can see the worktop there, and you can also start to see some more texture in the coffee here. So if I compare back here, it's just bringing out a little bit more of the definition in the coffee there. Now we can also use clarity. That's going to reduce the amount of detail we have. It's going to increase the amount of detail we have in pretty much everything, and you can see in our coffee, it's going to make our details come out even more. And then we can also use dehaze, which is a little bit of a weird one, but if it's very foggy and that kind of thing, it's very handy to get rid of fog. In this one, not likely to be very helpful. So I'm going to take our texture up, and I'm going to bring up our clarity just a little bit. Now, when you bring up the clarity, it affects the entire image, which means that everything in the background is going to get a little bit more clear as well. So as you can see, as we bring this up, stuff in the background is going to stand out a little bit more as well. Now we can come back in later and blur it a little bit more again, so that we don't have whoever's looking at the photo focusing in the background as much as they do focus in the foreground. So for the meantime, I'm going to leave clarity about there and hit OK, and we'll wait for that to process, and it'll add it to our layer. There we go. So we've got our filters applied to this layer, and if I disable the layer, you can compare, and it's quite a big difference already. Now we could even crop in even closer actually. I'm just seeing like a really good photo out of just like this bit of the picture, but we might start to lose too much detail there. Oh, actually it's not too bad. Just play around with a few crops. You know what, let's go back to what we were before, because that was quite good as well. If you want to play around with your own crop ideas, then obviously all of this stuff is downloadable, and you can grab it from the link scrolling past here. Yeah, let's go back to that. Control 0 to zoom back in again. Okay, so we've got a little bit of clarity going on, and we've made our whole image a little bit more warm. Now, I've kind of got an issue with these tools in the background, these utensils and things in the kitchen. They're obviously there, they're part of the picture, but I think they're standing out a bit too much right now. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and blur them a little bit, so that when you're looking at the photo, your eye's really drawn to the coffee. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and make a copy of this layer, duplicate layer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on our new copy and create a smart object. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to go back in afterwards and change the edits that we're applying. And it's very, very handy, especially for what we're about to do, which is using some blur. So you can see our little symbol of our smart layer up there, or smart object. If I go back into our filter layer and go down to blur, what we're going to use is we're going to use some Gaussian blur. Now what this is a way of blurring out your image in a very uniform way. Now as you can see, as I increase the radius, we can get stuff more and more blurred out. And we used this last week to blur out parts of an image that weren't particularly interesting, so that we could focus on only bits that we wanted. And we're going to do something similar here. We can come back in and change this later. For now, I'm going to set my blur at about 20, I think. Maybe a little bit less, maybe 15. You can go very, very far with the blur, so if I put it all the way up, you can get some very, very blurred out pictures, like so much so that it's almost disappeared. But if I go to say like 100, you can blur out an awful lot with Gaussian blur. But we're going to just go with 15 for now, and I hit OK. And you can see now it's applied a smart filter to our layer, and we can just enable that and disable it whenever we want. And it's also given us a layer mask. Now what this is it determines what's visible and what isn't on this smart filter. And you can apply them to any kind of layer in Photoshop and Photopea. And what this effectively does, if I get a paintbrush out, so if I press B or go to the paintbrush tool on the left hand side here and make it black, I can come in here, use the bracket keys to make my brush a bit bigger, and I can paint out the bits that I want to be hidden. And you can see in our smart filter up there that we've got parts of black on the image. So I can just go through and paint all of this out. And you can see we can completely hide the blur just by painting it out effectively. And then what we can do is we can do the exact reverse, and we can paint in the blur again where we want it. So, selecting our layer mask, I'm going to keep with my brush and I'm going to change it to a white brush. And this is going to allow me to slowly paint back in. Now, I've got just a random brush selected here, but I'm going to swap to just a normal hard-ish brush. And I can just show you, when I paint that in, you can see that there's a very hard line happening on this blur. Now, in some circumstances that might be very handy if you want a very hard edge on the blur or whatever you're using to mask. But in this case we want it to kind of be quite soft and have a soft boundary. So I'm going to undo that using Ctrl Z, and I'm going to right click and change our hardness and reduce it down to about a third. And now if you see, if I do it again, the edges of that brush stroke are a lot more blurred. And it means that you can, I'm going to try and point to it, but it's not going to work. You can see that the edges are a lot less distinct, and it looks a bit more natural. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to use the bracket keys to control the size of my brush, and I'm just going to come in and paint around our coffee here. And you can try and get as close as you can, really, because the closer it is, the less it's going to feel fake. Like, the closer you can get, the more of a real blur effect it will feel like. Now, if you ever need to undo what you've just painted, you can swap back to a black brush by changing the colour, and you can just go back in and undo what you just did, or paint back over, and that will just update as you go. So there we go. Just going to paint out this stuff. I'm going to paint around my hand here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a very large brush and get a soft gradient, because obviously in the background you want it blurred out, but as we get towards the foreground you want it to be more and more in focus. So we can use our hardness to affect that. So if I just place that in here, what you can see is that it gets slowly less blurry as we get towards the front. Now obviously I've painted over my hand here, so if I go back to my black brush, I can paint back in my hand like this. Now obviously you can spend a lot of time cleaning all of this up and making sure it looks absolutely spot on, but because this is a live stream and we're not going to waste everybody's time for too long, I'm only going to do bits. So you can see we've got our blur in there. Now if I disable it and re-enable it, you can see that we've got quite a nice effect going on. Now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to do a little bit more painting on our gap here. I'm going to make my brush white again, come back in with our brush. Now obviously because I've got hairs on my arm, you can't go quite as close, but you can get quite a good effect going. And obviously because our blinds and things are equally far away, I'm going to just come in here and do the same back here. And just get all of those bits of detail out by blurring them. There we go. Now there's a little bit still down here, so we can quickly just reduce our opacity by going to the top here, and that will allow us to just make smaller edits on the opacity on the brush here. So let's go with about 50%, and then I can just gently blur out our hob here as well. There we go. So if I press Ctrl 0 to go back to our full view, you can now see what is blurred out. And if I hide it you can see exactly what we have kind of focused on, which is our coffee. So what is left then on this image? It still feels a little bit dark to me, so we can try and bring up a little bit, but then this light coming through from the back is quite nice, so we might not need to do it too much. So to adjust my brightness, I'm going to come into my adjustments panel here. You can also use a layer adjustment here, a little half circle, and if you click on that, that will give you a full list of these adjustments in this panel here. But we're going to come in and do an exposure. So that will create a new layer up here, and then we can play around with the brightness. Now, I don't think we can do too much with this, because you can make it a little bit brighter, but not that much. I think that works quite well. Just bring up the brightness just a little bit. There we go. And then finally, I'm going to use a curves layer to increase the contrast just a little bit and do something called matte the blacks. So I can come into my adjustments panel again here and select curves in the middle at the top, and that's going to create another layer for me. And then I've got curves here, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a kind of S curve like this, and that's going to raise the light parts and darken the dark parts of the picture and give us a bit more contrast. Now it's already fairly contrasty, so we may not need to do this that much. In fact, we barely need to do it at all. There we go. So we can just compare before and after. It's just raising up those light bits just a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the bottom of our curves, and you can see that what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the blacks, we're going to raise them up into the grey area, and what that's going to do is going to give us this kind of faded effect that I feel like is kind of appropriate for a sleepy morning coffee. So we can obviously go quite far with this. I quite like about there. There's quite a strong effect, and if I disable this layer by hiding it, you can see the difference. Maybe that's a bit too strong actually, let's just bring it down a little bit. Yeah, I quite like that effect, and it's giving the kind of mood of like being half awake, kind of going to the coffee, pouring the coffee. Obviously you have to make the coffee first as well, actually, that's a good point. But there we go. Yeah, so there we go. That is our first stream edit. I'm going to quickly make sure that Sam has got access to our shared folder so he can upload his photos, and then we'll be ready to get Sam on, because he is just about ready. Let me know. Very good. Cool. So I'm going to save this as a new file as our stream edit. So here we go. That's our edited file. Give that a second to save. And then we can export it as a JPEG. And that's our first edit done. Oh, it's taken a second to save. Come on. Oh dear. My computer's screaming out from our streaming, obviously. And there we go. And then I'm going to Control-Shift save again. Control-Shift-S to save, sorry. And save it as a JPEG as well. There we go. So we can compare before and after. These will all be posted to the LSU Photosoc Instagram. So if you want to go and see the before and afters in our story or in the post, then you can do so. They'll probably be up tomorrow sometime. Yeah. Cool. So. Let's see if Sam is around. Cool. Calling Sam. Can you hear me? Oh, we're gonna get a drum roll. Is that a yes or a no? Who knows? Let's find out. Oh, he's here! I can't hear him yet though. Sam, have you unmuted yourself? Mate, I cannot hear you. I have no idea why.
Okay.
I cannot hear you. I don't know if the stream can. Can anybody hear Sam? Oh dear. This is going really well, guys. She's not getting any sound at all through Skype. Goodness knows. Let's try again. One moment. Sam, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you for some reason. This was working before we went live, guys. Goodness knows. Goodness knows what's happening. Ah, you know why? It's because of that. Sam, say
Hello,
something.
can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. Can everybody else hear me?
Incredibly loud. Oh my days.
I'm sorry.
Right, now we can't see you at all. Oh no. Right. Let's get this fixed. Here we come. He's massive. Absolutely massive. When we were checking this earlier and it was fine. But now it's super balked. Here we go.
If there's an illusion to anyone, this is not a professional operation. We might be trying, but
yeah. We are
look like it.
We are but simple students. Whoa. Okay. Right, we have Sam. Hello, Sam.
Yay! That's it.
Oh my gosh, that was an ordeal, wasn't it?
We're here now. That's what matters.
So I briefly introduced you at the beginning of the stream, but if you want to introduce yourself, by all means, I should face this way.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm I was previously more involved with Photosoc. I was a chair a few years ago, and I was a bit less involved since. Now I've come back on board to help with the streaming stuff and make Tom's life a bit easier, hopefully. Although it's been a bit harder, but let's hope.
It's making my life much more enjoyable because then I don't have to stand in an empty room for 2 hours talking to myself.
Well, that's the aim, isn't it? So
yeah,
engaging thing.
Yeah,
and yeah, I'm just doing the final bits of my setup right now. So the plan is, I've got, you can sort of just see stuff right here. I've got a setup, a cobbled together home setup with like a camera, like a desk light and things. So the idea is, and I've got a few little trinkets and things that anyone would have in their house. And so if you want to try and be creative and take photos with nothing, you still can. That's the point. So
cool.
we get that very quickly.
So I am happy to hand over to you if you want to go through your process. I've just done the first edit on our photos. So yeah, if you want to do something, by all means, lead away.
Sure.
Or I could do another edit. Totally up to you. Whatever you want to do first.
Well, slight technical issues. I'm trying to set up a live capture so you can see what's on the camera, but it says it's working, but it's obviously not. So maybe just give me 5 minutes, I think.
Okay, 5 minutes. We'll keep Sam on the call because why not? That's fun.
Yeah, I like the coffee edit you did. So.
Oh, thanks. I'll take that. Let's get you in on the stream here. I've currently got a blank box. Where's Sam gone? There's a blank box right here, which is meant to have you in it, but it doesn't. That's intriguing. Do you know why? It's because it's hidden. Ah, there we go. Right, okay. So we've got Sam. He's right next to me. Hello.
Hello.
Cool. Okay, so let's do another edit then. Sam, do you have a preference? We've done a coffee picture. We've got trumpet pictures and we've got bread pictures. Which one do you think we should do next?
Or let's do trumpet. I can't afford getting hungry midway on a live stream.
That is a good point, actually. Okay, so we've got a whole load of different things. We've got kind of like a wide angle kind of thing that will take quite a lot of editing to. I've got an idea for this one, but it's going to take quite a lot of editing.
What about have you got like a macro close-up one with like nice reflections in it? That'd be quite good.
Yeah, we do. So let's flick through those. We've got these ones. We've got.
I like the dark background. The bottom left ones.
Which bottom left? Oh, okay. You're looking at the stream. Bottom left.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stream, which is I'm just realised it's half a bit behind. Yeah, those close-up like diagonal ones.
These ones. I'm gonna open them up on stream and wait for you to see it, so you can have a look on the stream.
Not the valve, not specifically the valves. The ones that are sort of diagonal across the frame.
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, that one. The one that I'm just about to open on stream. Now, that one.
You say now, but that is half a minute's time. So.
Oh right, okay. Well, I will wait for you to catch up. I think I know which one you're talking about, though. The wide angle one.
No. Closer in.
Oh no! Oh, I know what you're talking about. This one. That is quite nice, actually. I do quite like that one. Yeah, let's go with that one. I'm just going to presume that we are talking about the same thing and go with it.
I'm sure we are.
It'll be fine. It'll open up on stream in a minute. There we go.
Yeah.
This is the one downside of live streaming, is that we are totally out of sync. And I can't share my screen with Sam because Sam is sharing his screen with me. So...
Yeah, I can now confirm minutes later that is the photo I was talking about.
Hooray!
It just,
oh my god!
Because yeah, so our audio is in sync, but the only visuals I've got of Tom is through the stream, which is good because I can see if the stream goes wrong, just as you guys are. But at the same point, I'm a bit slow to the game with these things.
Yeah. Well, no, you're not slow. The internet is slow. You know, Facebook is slow. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got.
I can sit back here and look at. Oh, that's a good edit, but I have no idea what actually is going on.
You're facing the wrong way, mate. You need to face the other way. You need to look up like this.
Sit there and look and see. It's a really good edit, yeah. But actually.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, okay, so what are we going to look at here? This is from a JPEG, so we can't do loads on it, but I think we should start with some colour corrections, because currently I can pull out my trumpet, but this colour is not quite the same as what a trumpet's colour actually is. It's a little bit too green. And the best way to correct our green shift here, I think, is going to be doing another camera raw filter. So I'm going to right click on my layer again, like we did on the previous edit, and convert it to a smart object so that we can change our edits afterwards if we want to. We'll give that a second to load. There we go. You know what? So you guys can see what a trumpet colour should look like, and so that we have reference, I'm going to grab my trumpet. So, this is our colour reference under the harsh studio lights of the Photosoc studio equipment. As you can see, compared to our photo, it's quite a different colour. So, what we want to do is reduce the amount of green and bring out the kind of brass colour. So I'm going to convert my layer to a smart object, then I'm going to go to filter and grab a camera raw filter again. And this time we're going to use a slightly different slider. So that will open up, and I'm going to come to our tint slider. What this allows you to do is shift from green through to purple or magenta, depending on the current white balance that you want in your photo. It shifts around quite a lot depending on whether it's nighttime, whether it's bright sunshine, and it's just a very helpful thing to be able to edit. Now, if you can see, as I slide it all the way to one end, we get very, very strong purple, all the way to the other end, very, very strong green. But if I slide it kind of probably about to plus 20 odd, we're going to get a more neutral colour. And we can then start to increase the brightness just a little bit using our exposure slider, and then bring out the warmth in the brass by changing our colour temperature. So I'm just going to increase that slowly, and look at that. That is a massive difference already. Sam will be able to see this on stream in a minute.
Right now, I'm inferring. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right now, I'm inferring what the edit you're saying you're doing, and trying to work out in my head what that's actually doing to it live.
Whoa.
But I'm thinking, yeah, a slight warm tint's going to be really nice.
Yeah, just take out that green tinge effectively. We've still got a little bit of a green tinge there, but if we go too far into the magenta, then other parts of the image start to get a bit weird. So we can go really far with this, actually, the colour shift. So I'm going to put it all the way up to like plus 40 odd and get that really, really bright shine coming through. And then we're going to increase the exposure a little bit, and then we can come in. Now, increasing the texture and clarity on something like a trumpet might not do us many favours, partially because my trumpet needs a good clean, but it can bring out some really interesting highlights and details in the joinery of the instrument. So putting the texture up is going to give us some interesting little details. What does the clarity do? Cool, that's going to really make it shine. That's giving us some real, oh my goodness. It almost looks surreal, the amount of clarity. If you put too much clarity in it, it looks very surreal because you have very, very harsh highlights, very, very harsh shadows on the trumpet. Maybe not quite so much. Let's put it about there. Put up the texture, and let's hit OK on that.
That's starting to look really good now. I like it.
Yeah, and there's massive, massive difference between the previous one, like the previous edit, and what it is now. Like massive, massive difference. And you know, you could easily.
The thing is
this.
that's a subject that can really take a lot of that high contrast editing, though. That's the thing. So with some photos, obviously you've got often more natural things. And yeah, like you've got there, you can see how much change you've been able to bring to that, but it doesn't look terrible in a way that if you on natural things, it can really look quite bad. So the edit is right for the subject, is the point.
Exactly, yeah. And you try doing this kind of edit on someone's face, and you'll bring out all of their pores, all of the little freckles and stuff that they're trying to hide, and it doesn't look good. So it really is.
Yeah, if you try and do that sort of edit to one of your friends, you won't be one of their friends anymore. So
yes, that's a very good way of putting it. Yeah. So as you can see now, we've got this wonderfully high contrast image compared to our original. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here because I can still see some green tinges and it's getting on my nerves. And I think there's a couple of other ways to get rid of those. So what we're going to do is play around with some colour balance. Might be the best way to do it. Unless you've got any ideas, Sam.
Sorry, I'm dazed out there. What you want to do?
I'm trying to reduce some more green tinges. Thinking colour balance.
It's looking pretty good for me. Yeah.
Ooh, actually, maybe not. I've just opened a colour balance layer there. Let's not do that. It looks rubbish. You know what? You zoom into this and you can see my reflection. taking a photo. This is a very reflective surface, the trumpet. So, yeah. Oh my goodness. You could try and edit me out, but probably not necessary. You know what? Actually, let's try and edit me out of this because.
No, don't. I think that's excessive. And anyway, I'm about ready to go here.
Okay.
So,
in which case, I will save this as our next edit, and we can hand over to Sam. So, take it away, Sam.
Okay.
Let me bring up your camera. That is not right at all. Oh my days. Okay, one sec. We have your camera up. Right. It is on your OBS, so away you go.
Fantastic. So right now I've got a little setup going. So here I've just got it's just like a desk light essentially, which I can swivel around and do all sorts of stuff with. And then I've just got a simple subject. I've got a watch, just for purposes' sake for now. So I've got my watch, and then I've got just a simple background. So this is just a piece of grey card essentially. And I've got a few other things to play around with. So I've got some sort of piece of card and paper and all sorts of stuff. So essentially basic stuff that you're likely to have around. And we're just going to sort of go through some ways of setting up some little photos and I'll sort of take things through. So
awesome.
I don't really know where to start right now. But I've got a setup here. So the camera is linked to the computer, and so you can see in this box here, you can see that the photo that's just been taken. It's not like a live photo, but you can see what the most recent photo, and then I can go in and easily take a new one. And so any changes will be pretty quick. So where to start?
Sam, could you start screen sharing?
That would help, wouldn't it?
We've had a lovely close-up of your face in your demonstration, but we don't have the photos popping up. There we go. Technical difficulty. There we go. Perfect.
Are we fully going now?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, cool. So
that's my fault. I'm the showrunner.
There's 50 things going on. If one of them goes wrong, you don't catch it until you see it on the stream 5 minutes later. So
yes, I'm juggling many things.
So I've got a subject and I've got a backdrop. I've just got a little desk light just to show off how easy and basic you can be. And I've just got a bit of grey paper as a backdrop. And then I've got my camera, as I said, it's attached to my computer. And then what I was doing before was this. This is like the almost live preview. And what I've also got, and so I'm taking photos with my camera. It's a Nikon D300S, but it's connected to my computer, and then I'm running Lightroom. So Lightroom is this piece of software here, where which is similar to actually what the camera raw that Tom was using just a second ago in Photoshop. It's got a similar editing style to that. So if I go in and start looking, I can go into develop, which is essentially just edit. Lightroom is sort of think of it as like a file organizer, which is incredibly dedicated to photography. But then it's also got some really powerful editing capabilities, and then some output possibilities as well. So we don't spend a lot of time and develop a lot of time.
I'm like, you could easily do all of your photography and just use Lightroom without touching Photoshop. So many
photographers do. I mean, there's lots of. I mean, even with this sort of basic stuff is quite familiar. So I can do exposure changes and get the white balance going differently. And also presets is another big thing. So with Photoshop, it's all a bit sort of I don't know if there's a word for it, but anyway.
You can't easily apply a saved kind of look to something in Photoshop, whereas you can in Lightroom.
It's not as easy. It's not as easy. It's possible in ways, but it's not as easy. So with Lightroom, a thing you'll hear a lot of is presets, and even people online sell presets, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So I can easily jump in and I can find, and I've even actually at the top there you can see a little preview. The whole thing's previewing.
I love presets. Like you can get like 90% of the way there on an edit using presets. Like I have some that I've set up. So when I do photography for like Loughborough University Arts, I have presets for particular rooms that we shoot in. I will apply all of those to the photos, and they'll take like 5 minutes, and then I only have to do very, very little edits to each photo, and you can turn out like 300 photos in an hour. It's a lot faster. Yeah, that's just the side.
The only downside of Lightroom is that it's sort of an all-in system. So if you have your photos stored just in folders, and you're moving between where you're storing and things, it's not set up for that. So Lightroom likes all your photos to be in one place, and then you refer back to that place.
Yeah.
Because what I used to do for a bit was I would go and use Adobe Bridge and Camera Raw built into that, which gave you flexibility of being able to save things in different areas. But the problem with that is it's not as powerful, and Lightroom is just made for it. So if you can get onto Lightroom and get everything, all your catalog sorted out and in one place, then it makes things much easier.
Yeah,
and it's really good up to scale.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm like, if you want to, if anybody's watching and can't afford it, they can get free trials of Photoshop and Lightroom at Adobe's website. I think it's 7 days right now is the trial, so you can always try it out. A lot of people don't use it, but it is a very handy tool.
It's kind of hard to get. It's a bit hard to get started with because you need to know where all your photos are going to be forever, or
Yes.
But once you've got that nailed down, just try it out, and you can, it's a bit. I've not done it loads, but you can sort of move your whole. They call it Lightroom catalog. You can move it around and.
Yeah, like as you upgrade computers and that kind of thing, it's you can move it around, but you have to re-import things. You have to. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the butt if you use a lot of different folders in lots of different places, which is where Photoshop is much better. But yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So going down to like some editing, so we've got similar stuff to what you saw just earlier, where I can go in and edit things quite quickly and easily. So I've got a curves adjustment there. So in the way in Photoshop you have to bring in adjustment layers. Here it's it's just instant. And if I come in, and it's even got some really good, more Photoshop-ish, tools. So I've got this is spot removal. I mean, it's not going to work very well at all on this, but can I get some? There we go. Right. So there on the dial, I've got a little speck of something, and I can click that, and it finds a valid candidate and merges it in. So, and that's a sort of easy. Let's crop. Oops. So there, you can see that in 2 seconds, and that's the sort of thing you can then. Obviously, if you were dealing with portraiture, this becomes more useful. But also here, you can just easily go in and then be making changes to things, and it's pretty powerful and pretty consistent in what it chooses, and does a good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then you've also got things like gradient filters. So I could bring in a gradient filter. It's not totally obvious what's actually happening here, but
well, if you change a color or do some mad contrast difference, then you can tell. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So you can see how I've got an edit, and it's dealing well with raw photos. So raw all the time. I mean, it will deal with JPEGs, but raw all the time means you're getting this really good range of edits. So and none of the edits are destructive. That's the other thing. So obviously, if you import a photo to Photoshop, edit it, and then once you've saved that, you're then starting from the same from the start again. If you go and edit that again, Lightroom is sort of a non-destructive editing software. So you've got this. I can go in and then back and change things, and it's all not losing any quality in any way. And the same way how in the first edit, it completely blew out the background. But then I've been able to bring the whole background back with this gradient filter, so I didn't lose information. Anyway,
Yeah, amazing. Whoops, a daisy. I just tripped over my own headphone cable. Yeah, it's great for all of these tools you can use in loads of different ways, and you can get very, very creative with Lightroom tools. Too much. That's why half of the time you might not even need to use Photoshop. The gradient tool that you've just applied there is fantastic for stuff like you're taking landscape photos. Often the sky is significantly brighter than land and that kind of thing, and you can bring up the brightness of the land or bring down the brightness of the sky so that they look more balanced. That kind of thing is very, very handy, and it's a lot faster to do in Lightroom than it is in Photoshop.
Precisely. And now, I'm just doing I've got a brush tool. So with this, I'm able to go in and then bring certain areas back, or create highlights and do things like this. So it's solid in the way that these more simple edits are incredibly easy and fast. In a way that similar Photoshop edits would take a long time, but then it doesn't have the reach of Photoshop. So if you wanted to go and do a huge photo merge or loads of image elements or composite images and things like that, then it's got no chance.
Yeah, you can't do layers is the critical flaw of Lightroom. You can apply all of these different edits, but fundamentally they're kind of in this weird middle ground of not quite being layers. Whereas in Photoshop you can stack and stack and stack and stack edits, and
really control which areas are affected by what. Like here, basically we've got a brush. The closest you've got is a brush tool, and then you can go in and change things on just that brush tool. So you could stack up brush tools, which is sort of a way of getting to that end of things.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
What kind of edits are you thinking of doing on your things? Are we going to try and take some photos? What are we planning?
Try and take some photos.
Cool.
Maybe you can wage in. So I've got. What sort of an image do you think I should try and make? Because I could continue with my watch. I could try and experiment with some different.
I quite like that high contrast watch vibe you've got going on there with those photos already. So you could try something else. What other objects have you got knocking around there?
Well, I've got. Hang on, I need to change my camera. Aha.
Drum roll. Ooh.
So yeah, I've got a black bit of foam board here. So I might try and see if we can.
Ooh, yeah.
Different
black
idea.
Backgrounds are quite fun. You can get very interesting effects with black backgrounds.
Yeah. All right. This is working all right now. Okay, cool. So I can go along here, and so currently I've got the back of the background is still in shot. I mean, the grey background's still in shot. So I'm going to try and because obviously that doesn't matter that much because I can also we can also edit out and extend backgrounds later. So I'm not too worried about that. But I just want to make sure you've got enough of an area around the subject. Because right, so
there we go.
Work?
Drum roll.
Yes, okay, that does work. So right now you can see I've got not very well focused, is it? Right now I've got the watch is within the background. You could get away with, if you had to, with a setup that might look a little bit like this. But essentially, if we wanted to then extend the background around the back there, we're then going to have some problems when we're coming close to the object. So really, you don't have to worry about the background covering the frame, but the background certainly has to cover your subject.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a plain background can very easily be extended, and I've done it tons of times, even with quite low quality photos, and it comes out really well.
Yeah,
so,
realistically, you only need your object to barely be covered by your background, and you can just edit everything else in afterwards.
And of course,
Photoshop, yeah.
And of course, any shadows you want to keep in there as well. So that's.
Of course, yeah.
Get it focused. There we go. So we've got a very basic image right there. So I'm going to try and don't know what I'm going to try and do. Let's get a bit closer.
Bit closer. As a frequently repeated adage in photography, which is really helpful to remember, is if your photo doesn't look good, you're not close enough. We like our photo cliches and idioms in Photosoc. We'll just repeat the same things again and again because they're really, really handy. Often, if you get closer, you're going to get a better picture. Almost always.
Yeah, getting in the moment really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, if you're taking photos of something that doesn't allow you to get close, then obviously...
Well, I am still trying to get close to that. That's the thing.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. So I just changed the lens there. So I was on a 35mm lens, and I've just changed to basically a kit lens, 18 to 55, and I'm shooting at 55. One issue with this lens is the autofocus is actually broken. So I'm on manual focus.
Oh no!
It'll
extra challenge mode. It looks pretty in focus on from my perspective here. So you know.
Yeah. But you can see that I've got an issue now where on the top of the... Can I even point? There we go. Right.
There you go.
Right there. We've got the issue where right there. Where the watch band is now above the background. So I'm just going to try and recompose a little bit.
Go.
Focus.
Go.
And we should fix that.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, background sorted.
Cool. Now, looking at the composition there, I think I might shift it so it's not looking out of the image, it's sort of looking into the image.
Looking into the image, yeah. I was about to say something like that. I do quite like the composition there because I feel like it would be a very good marketing shot because you could have space for text on the right-hand side with that image. Let's have a look.
I've changed it there. Ooh. We've got a bit of an issue with the lighting
with the light
now.
There, yeah. But I like that. Like that framing. That framing is nice. Yeah.
Framing's good enough, I think.
You could try and get that light lower down from the side, maybe, and catch the light and the hands and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's the next thing.
I'm ahead of you.
Well, I'm just trying to think in my mind what sort of a photo do I want to make? Do I want to have a black background? Because it might be quite cool to try and get this because obviously it's black watch on a black background. If I light it correctly, I should be able to get just highlights sort of showing through.
Yes.
So first, what I'm going to do is get my exposure down a bit because it's a bit bright for that sort of photo. So I'm going to go to a slightly faster shutter speed. Oh, you can't actually see that. Right, if I do, there we go. So right here, I can control I can control the camera, and that's quite good actually. There we go.
Oh, that's very crispy. I like that.
The live stream works, fantastic. Right, so you can see here, I've got all my camera settings, and so I was at 1/5. I'm going to go 1/13, so that's slightly faster shutter speed.
So you're reducing the amount of light that you're taking in by just over half. And let's see what the difference is.
Drop that down a bit.
Now you can see the difference there. I quite like that. That's already,
It's getting much better, isn't it? So, and again, don't be fooled. This is literally just.
This is just a desk lamp.
Desk lamp and a camera. That's as basic as this is.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of help from a tripod, essentially, but
I'm like, you could get the same photos on a phone, even. You know, especially since a lot of phones have telephoto lenses now, you could get this on a phone.
Definitely, yeah. So, where are we going from here? The annoying thing is, I found my black background isn't actually that black. It's
kind of grey, kind of dark grey, isn't it?
Coming across as grey in the photo. I think we'll roll with it though, because I think we can still get a really good picture.
We can edit that down though. We can crush that down into the black region.
But I think we're always going to have a separation between the background and the watch in a way that I was intending to have no separation. But we'll roll with it. Let's start playing around with the light a bit.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna actually go a bit darker as well on the exposure. So let's see what that looks like.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're now getting close to my vision.
Essentially, what I talked about at the beginning of the editing earlier, like why we edit photos to try and get to a vision, what your kind of photo in your head is when you actually take.
Yeah. So now I've got sound of plot. I'm playing around with light. So let's try and go. Obviously, I'm looking at this live. But I'll try and do a good few photos to show you. So now hang on, I need to show you there we go. The light was up there, like that, and now I've moved it down. So we're pointing sort of like at a harsher angle, lower angle, and you see how that's really changed things.
Yeah, that's definitely changed that photo, hasn't it? Yeah.
That's been a huge change.
Maybe it's almost a bit dark. You almost want it a bit light enough so you can see the details on the watch face.
Yeah,
is what my thought would be.
I've probably gone too far there.
Yeah. You might be able to pull that out. That detail will still be there in the file. You can probably draw it out a bit.
Yeah. I'm seeing now, actually, if I can play with the reflection on the glass using the... So what I'm actually looking at right now is the interior of the light is reflecting on the glass.
Whoa! Wow.
But the other thing about that is the shade itself is blocking off the background. Which, so right now that picture isn't very good, but the background, we're getting a lovely fall off.
That fall off is fantastic. I really like the way that...
You can see this gradient we're getting now, and of course that is exactly where the camera's looking, so we're getting a fantastic gradient in the background itself, which I think is a really good thing to play around with.
Yeah.
I'm currently looking for other things to maybe try and matte off the background with.
Well, look, the background looks pretty good now, actually. You can try and use some different... Yeah.
So right now I'm using just a piece of paper that's pretty thick, so it's blocking the light quite well. And I can you see that very well?
Yeah, we can see it.
We can see it,
yeah.
You can see the gradient, and I can sculpt that. I can change how that gradient is happening just with a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But our subject is still illuminated until I come obviously too far. So let's see what this looks like.
You're gonna need 4 arms by the end of this.
That's why tripods are really useful.
Yeah.
So that's the new exposure.
Ooh.
So
that's a massive difference just by being able to cut off some of that light.
And I actually masked the reflection doing that.
Yeah,
as well.
I think you can see like a little bit of the reflection at that bottom of that watch face, but you can still that light's still coming through because it's kind of diffusing through that paper a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm not quite sure what's going on actually. I think I might be having like a double reflection and things.
Possibly. It's very possible that the underside of your paper is acting like a bounce card.
Yes, with the table as well, because the table's white just beneath it.
But that detail in there is lovely. It's nice.
But that's now making me think that the actual light that's hitting the watch face there is coming sort of from a lower angle, sort of from here, from the light, because that area. So actually, the light facing this way does not do much. So I'm actually going to face it that way.
Yeah.
And try and more accurately control some of the direct illumination. And then use the card method to recreate that the fall off we were getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is worth. Oh God.
This is like photography wizardry in action. What we're watching right now, everybody.
Well, hopefully it's engaging.
Yeah, it's great. So, Well, at least I'm finding it great.
So I'll try and do a couple of shots here. So I've got a shot that looks like... So that's like without the card. When it comes through.
I see.
So without this piece of paper, I'm getting this. But you can see on the background there's a lot of spill on the background. It's still a nice exposure, but as you can see,
Still
by bringing
quite a
this
lot of light
in,
on the background, yeah.
yeah, by bringing this in, I'm able to cut that down. Unfortunately, it's hard to get a balance between cutting that background down and also not and losing illumination on my subject. But this looks like it's going to do something. So you see that shot? Now I'm going to have a shot with this in it, with the mask in. What does that look like?
Ooh.
There we go.
That is nice. Yeah, we're definitely getting there. Oh, I like that. I like that.
So yeah, so we've got those two differences.
Oh, you can tell the time difference between each of the shots as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot.
I'll move over to this shot. So yeah, let's have a look at what's going on here. So we've really managed to lose that background. So I'm going to go into develop here so I can sort of get a better feel for what the picture's actually like. And so yeah, if I bring the exposure way up, you can see there's almost no information in the background. It's almost completely black. But we've still got some good information elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's looking like a pretty good file to me. I'm just thinking now about the lighting on the watch face itself. I've now it's quite a good sort of product shot.
Yeah.
But we've lost the strap. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But we've lost the strap at the top a little bit.
Yes.
But that is a bit of a hard thing to make a balance of. But actually,
it is significantly darker on the top as well, which is a bit of a challenge.
But I was thinking in my head, I actually thought that was I blocked it off using the card.
Quite possibly, actually, yeah.
Because what it'd be nice to have, you see how the lighting on not that one, how the lighting on the face changes.
Yeah.
Right now, we still have the issue without. This is without the card. We still have a darker on the top, but it is brighter in general. It's not actually that different. But anyway, so I think I just need to shift the main light, and then I'll work out how to do that matte in again.
Yeah.
So again, this is hard to really show you what I'm looking at, but essentially by moving the light around, hopefully I can. Oh, I don't know. I'm also battling this reflection, so I keep getting a reflection on the glass itself.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard to control. And I think that's kind of... Oh, that's quite nice, actually.
It is hilarious to watch. You just kind of waving this lamp around.
It's art in action.
Art in action, guys.
I mean, this is a bit of a side note, but it's an interesting shot as well.
Oh, yeah. You almost want, if it was me, like I'd be tempted to go with like almost that as your main light and a little bit of extra light coming in.
This is
front,
the thing,
like
yeah.
a bounce or something. Like use the card for a bit of extra light as a.
So I've got a different. I think I might remember that. So I've got various bits of foam and card and things. Can I rest it somehow? Or I might have to grow some more arms to make this photo work. So
blue tack, duct tape, and blue tack.
Yeah, I both those to hand actually. Good for letting me remind me.
Half of this studio that I'm in is held together with duct tape as well. So
all good studios are. So
yeah.
I also want to see it. So I've got a flashlight on my phone. I want to see if bringing another light source in could make that difference nicely. But it seems not.
A little bit more light. It might not be enough of a input. Like it might not be enough of a light difference.
It's really
yeah. It's not. Maybe just try shining like from more like perpendicular to the face. Like shine the light from above, just above the lens. Maybe. I don't know if that would work.
So
I don't as in like shine the extra light from just above the lens. But
the extra light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna have issues with that anyway.
Yeah.
I might actually go further away. So right now I have the light pretty close.
Yes.
So I can have it close, like ridiculously close. And obviously we're getting a softer light because it's larger compared to the subject. But I might actually try right now is going further away.
Yeah, so there's another great way to control the amount of light, especially with something like a desk lamp, because we can't control the actual brightness of the lamp. You can control the lightness by just moving it further and closer. And it's something that we do a lot when we do our own events, because we have these big lights that we can't dim, so we just move them further and closer and further and closer.
What could I do? Because right now I've now moved it so it's back to the original position, and I was thinking of trying to relight the back of it in some way. Oh yeah, that's what we're going to do. That works really well.
That works wonderfully, actually. Yeah, that's a great shout.
So there's the before, and there's the after.
Ah, perfect. Yeah,
So-
that lighting on the back is making a real difference to the clarity of the entire thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's helping a lot. Now obviously we've got the issue with it being in the...
The shot slightly.
Hey, look at that! Right. Good point. So yeah, so we can see the background is coming over here now. My bounce card is coming over here. Reflector is coming over here, which is the no-no really, because that means we've got a real tough job of re-editing the background. So I need to find a compromise of where that's not going to be in the way.
You might be able to just flatten it a little bit, like in terms of like just hold it and flatten it a little bit more above rather than at the back.
Yeah,
That might give you a similar effect.
This looks like it's going to work quite well actually.
That works really, really well.
So
yeah, you get that really nice, like distinct curve of your watch strap there without having any extra. Yeah,
that's
works
working
really well.
So right, but now I want to go and back in and mask the background off to try and regain the dark look we had, and I've run out of hands. So
I can't help you. I reach out hands over the internet.
So I need to quickly work out a way of doing this without ruining my setup. But luckily, I've got some tape and bits and things to help me. So
I'm like, you could also try doing a composite image of the two if you wanted to get the darker background.
If we can't get that, I feel like we're really close though. So right now, I've just got a tin can, and
that'll work. Yeah.
Oh no, that's Jen, not the tripod. It's all over.
I should definitely do some. We should definitely do some live stuff next. This is great. I'm not actually doing it. I'm watching.
You're just spectating.
We've got loads of space in here, and we've got full background from the.
You've got all the gear. That's the thing.
I've got the Photosoc studio equipment, so I've got a full light here. I've got the green screen set up behind me, so we could set up a full 10-foot by 20-foot studio here, and I could do some portrait shots of my housemate, or we could do all kinds of things. So yeah, if anybody's got any ideas, do comment as well, because we're always up for suggestions.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So right now we've got this. You can't. The exposure's a bit annoying. I could turn this light off. Maybe let's see what's going on. So you can just see I've got a tin can.
Yeah.
Which has raised my bounce card, my reflector off the surface. So what the camera's actually looking at now is underneath it. So it's now not in the way. And we're now getting this photo we see here, which is got the light in the right places.
Yep. There we go. That's in a really nice place now. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a gradient going on the face, which isn't terrible, but it's something I want to look at making a bit better even. But I think that is the reflection. That is the reflection of the
card.
my bounce card. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the only way to make that stronger would be fire more light into it. Really.
No, I think that's the edge of it though. I think that's the thing. That was the edge of the. It's that line is the thing I'm worried about. And I've just moved it. So now it should, but we might lose the whole face now. This is the only problem.
We shall find out. Whoa, yeah, that's too much, isn't it?
So, I think the best thing to do with that is, it's not actually, I don't know, it's just a different look really, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm like you could easily selectively apply some dehaze to that and just bring back some of that detail in the hands.
That's true.
Just to like not lose it so much.
Also, look at that motion blur on the second.
Ooh. I'm like,
pretty cool.
That's another cool thing.
We should do some long exposures, actually.
We could do long exposure. We could do it for like 30 seconds.
Because that's the benefit of shooting with constant desk lights, is you can just do. Let's do it. So right now, you can see my settings.
7.1.
So I'm at 20th of a second, 7.1, and as low ISO as I can make it.
So if you drop down by 3 stops, maybe that'll be interesting. So,
well, I want to aim for something. I don't know. I'm interested by the second-hand blurring. So that's going to look like.
You could do a second. That might be 4 seconds. Okay.
Good, but I feel like you maybe 5 or 10 seconds might end up looking really good, or it might just go invisible. So.
Yeah, I'm like that's going to be tricky to do. In terms of like.
And then I'm going to go down to.
I'd go down to like probably 16 or something. Would be my guess. Let's find out.
Yep.
Maybe even higher than that actually, because you've got an awful lot of light coming in.
I mean,
like you could drop your ISO one step down as well. Still.
That's true. So this is it coming in yet, or is it nothing changed?
Oh. Photos are happening.
Okay, it seems that we might be past the realm of being able to have an effect on this.
Yeah, it might be too much.
Why am I just not selecting the right photo here?
Oh no.
I was not selecting the right photo, there we go.
There you go.
So, yeah, we're
definitely getting a blur there though. It is very, very bright.
Yeah, and also I guess it's because it stops on each second.
Oh yeah.
What you're really going to get is just the second hand repeated about 5 times.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like so some watches do have a continuous motion. They don't just go chunk chunk chunk.
Yeah, if only I had one like that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my watch now, but mine's got the same issue. What issue? I know it's not an issue,
Yeah.
is it? Yeah, maybe it doesn't work.
Anyway, let's go back to our more recent exposure.
Yeah, so that was what 1/20th 7.1.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Lightroom, give me the latest one. Is that the latest one? Can't be that.
Everything is slowly melting.
Oh, hang on. That's the issue.
Oh, 20 seconds?
20 seconds.
Oh, it's still taking the exposure.
That's why it was.
That's just going to be completely white. That is.
I can't even work out if it's mid exposure.
I think it's mid exposure.
The shutter's open.
It's a classic error. That is.
It might be just taking a long time for it to come through.
Done now. There you go.
Hey. Oh, what? It didn't check. Oh, God.
Probably because the camera doesn't respond whilst it's taking a photo. So
you're right.
You've still got your aperture at 22 as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. It changed that.
It's going to be like.
We'll wait another 20 seconds then. While that does the thing.
Oh, okay. Where's he off to? Where's he going? Ah!
I'm back. Merch.
Oh, merch! Ah!
The one thing I forgot.
Amazing.
Put that on in a bit.
You got your fashionable Photosoc.
I've not got a t-shirt. I never got a t-shirt. I need to get one.
Along with like water bottles, bags.
Have you actually got water bottles and stuff now?
Yeah.
Oh, I want one.
Yeah, we're doing it all through Redbubble, which allows us to do loads of different designs. It's great for creators as well. Like, if anybody's watching and wants to sell their photography, it is a great site to do it on because you can effectively upload an image, and put it onto loads of different products. Whether that could just be prints and like photo prints and that kind of thing, but it could also be like, what have I done that on? You can do all kinds of things. You can get like socks. We actually made photo socks. Photo socks. The long-lived joke of the society has been made true. Yeah, so
fantastic.
it's really good. I don't think anybody's actually bought the photo socks though.
Oh, you can take my money. Where's I need that meme. Take my money.
Take my money.
Okay, so we're back to square one before
That
we
looks good.
started blurring
Yeah.
second hands. Right, let's get rid of the watch face reflection.
Yeah, so
think it's
move
quite
the
easy.
bounce card back a little bit, wasn't it? I was saying.
Yeah, it's just to the side. So yeah. The issue is obviously I'm dealing with the reflections of the strap and the reflections of the watch face, but those
Yeah.
are very close to being almost in line and almost being in the same area. So it's quite hard to actually get reflections where you want them. So, if it makes any sense?
No, I totally get what you mean.
So actually, back there is looking pretty good to me. So if you see how I've got it here,
Oh yeah, that's a massive difference. Yeah.
so I really like the. But then again, the watch face is going to need some light. I feel like. Anyway, the strap now at the back is looking lit similarly to the one at the front. However, we've now got the background issue again.
Yeah.
So I need to find something that's lifted just a little bit. Well, actually, I might do this. If I do this, I can actually get some. Because by varying how close I have this bounce card to the watch face, I'm also varying the bounce that I'm getting on the face, on the reflection on the face itself.
Yeah.
I'm trying to don't know how to describe it. So
Yeah, no, because you can change the strength of the light being reflected by moving the distance of the card.
Yeah. I might move this light out a bit actually. So where it is like here, the watch face is still unlit essentially, and I can the watch face is a bit there. I can then oh God, I'm moving everything. I can then move in.
Angle the bounce card more. I see what you're doing. Yeah, that makes sense. You angle the bounce down so you can get more light from on top. Yeah.
It's just a tricky thing of working out how to gauge it enough. So they're in the middle.
That works really well because then we can just edit out that bit of white in the background because you've got enough of a separation.
You're right, actually. There is some separation there.
Yeah.
Is that enough? Yeah, let's go with it.
I think it is, yeah. I think it's good.
Let's use the trusty blue tack and something to the on method.
Oh, yeah.
This is very high production value, this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I feel like some sort of presenter. Step 34. Blue tack onto the bottom of your bounce reflector. Thread stays in place.
We'll go so deep down the rabbit hole. If you accidentally come in at step 57, you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, no.
Take your can of beans
lost.
out of the freezer.
Step 4. Eat your canned food.
Step 117. Pause for dinner. Oh, man.
Okay, right, come on. We can get this working.
I feel like we need a grand drum roll before each of these. This is great.
You need some sound effects or something.
We need a soundboard. That's the next upgrade. The upgrade that we've done today is some more lighting. Next week we'll get a soundboard.
Well, no, this week's been a massive upgrade. We've got live photo taking happening this week.
That's true. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Next week,
this
soundboards and
soundboards
full
and
studio setups. I think that's a bit of a
I really want to.
ask, that is. What are you going to say?
It's just. See, this is the issue. I'm literally changing these angles with bits of blue tack stuck to things. It's hard to make micro adjustments, but we are making them. How's that look? Yeah,
Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Yeah.
We've still got a bit of an issue with that, which is a bit closer than I'd like it to be.
Oh, I think it's doable though.
Just there. It's
Yeah.
doable. I might save myself 10 minutes there if I try and change something a little bit, because also the strap looks a bit of a strange shape. But essentially, I've got the face is looking.
It's looking good.
Way out of focus now. But
yes, good point. Yeah.
let's fix that.
It's very hard for me to judge over a Skype link.
Yeah, how much?
Like we can see an awful lot. The resolution is good. I'm sure everybody in the comments can have their own opinion, but it's
Can
good
you
enough for me.
see this? Can you see specks of dust on the?
Yes,
on
I
the
can
surface?
see specks of dust. Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, let's use. I've got one of these
A
blowy
rocket.
things.
Yeah. Whatever it's called. I know. Rocket blower.
It was patent pending, right?
We would just blow all of the bits of dust off using that. Yeah.
Because now we got down to the level. It's all about bringing everything up to the right sort of quality level.
Yeah.
And so the lighting, we've got the background to no, we need to go back and do the background. But we got the lighting to a good level, and now we've got there we go. Much cleaner.
I can't see that one.
I'm sorry.
Ooh. Oh
Much
wow!
cleaner.
That is a night and day difference. Yeah. Much
So
cleaner.
before, after. So now we're in the realm of proper product photography.
Yeah.
When things start looking
We get
like
rid of
camera.
dust. Yeah.
That's always the funny thing. Like so many photos these days in catalogs and online and things are computer generated renders.
Yeah.
They really are blurring the line between what's real and stuff. Like I recently heard that like IKEA catalogs are now mostly like CAD renders.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah.
Even I can only just tell which ones might be CAD renders and not. It's incredibly good, but it's funny how people who do rendering and stuff, they try and add in scratches and dust and things to make them look more realistic.
Yeah.
And then all photographers try and do the complete opposite to make them look more professional.
Yeah, I'm like
Strange meeting in the middle sort of thing.
yeah. It works though,
Yeah.
I'd still say it's easier to take a photo than it is to try and do the render, but something like IKEA, they're trying to save resources in terms of like they're trying to be more eco-conscious. Doing it digitally is a lot more eco-conscious. So
it depends where the company's coming from. If they've got all the CAD models and everything set up already, then it's not as much effort, is what it is. But obviously, if you're like a fine jeweler, you're not going to have a CAD model of the thing you're making. So photography is the dominant thing. Keep blowing dust away, and dust comes back.
that's what happens.
So
Yeah.
what
Well, it
am I
looks
going
like
to try
we're-
and fix next?
Really close to being able to do an edit, I think.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do a last second focus. So I've got focus in there. I was going to try and go back and start masking the background off now and see if we could do that without harming our setup in any way. But I'm not totally sure now.
I'm not sure you can, to be honest, at this point, because just the way that light is knocking
The
around.
bounce card.
You could try and because you need that light going onto the bounce card to do the back lighting, and if you start to reduce it, then you're going to run into the same issues we had earlier.
Because ideally, to fix that, I need to then have this black background not be the surface it's sitting on, but that to be, a couple of feet below it, and then so that's completely out of any sort of light.
Yeah.
That's the only way I think I can fix that. So I think I might have to leave it, or we could try going to a white background, which would be a very easy thing for me to try quickly. Let's do that.
Yeah, sure.
For a different
Just
for a different look.
You just swap it out really easy. Yeah.
Let's do this.
The sheer amount of light coming out of that setup now on the stream is hilarious. It's like you've got a portable sun or something. There you go.
Yeah, I can't work out how to get a.
I'm like, we can still see it. We can still see it. So don't worry about it. But yeah.
Couldn't work out how to get a webcam to lock exposure and things. Anyway,
not a thing. I don't think, unless you have a very expensive webcam.
Nah. Yeah. So that was with black background. Here now we're going to
a
white background. Which I'm not.
I prefer the black. I'll be honest. I think yeah. Black definitely works better.
Let's go back then. Ka-ching. Right, I might try and change how this watch is sitting. If that is easy at all. Which it might not be. Come on. Right. Hopefully this doesn't throw off all the setup we've been doing.
Hopefully not.
I think it might do.
Oh no.
Well, no, I can easily go back if it's.
This is like the epitome of when we're talking to people, like teaching them photography at Photosoc. Like one of the most frequently things that we repeat is like, you've just got to experiment, and a lot of people don't get that. So they'll try a couple of things and then kind of move on, but they might just miss the kind of perfect shot that they had in their heads because they don't quite get there. And experimenting around a lot is what allows you to go that extra step to get really, really, really great photos.
That's the thing. You're never there until you're there, and you spend a lot of time.
Yeah. Now, obviously, it depends what your subject is, but product photography is definitely one of those things where it takes time. It takes time.
Yeah, any sort of. Well, I mean, yeah. So right now, you can see I've got this. What I was trying to do is at the front here, we could see how the band is going right now around a nice curve.
Yeah.
But the back of the band is doing this wave up before it does the curve. I was trying to see if I could get this to be a nice circular sort of a band, but that's not super easy. It's not instantaneously easy. So I think I'm just going to go back to what it was like before. My composition? There we go.
Oh.
It was something like that, I think. Let's focus. This is the annoying thing where you do a whole setup and then you want to change something fundamental. It takes a good while to get back to it, but we're about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's I think as good as it's going to be. So that looks horrifically different.
No, that's looking great. That's looking good.
You see, now I'm thinking I want like a nice 10 to 2 sort of hands position.
Yeah,
that really go a bit too far.
Yeah, I'm like.
I mean, if we wait 5 minutes, we'll already see the Braun logo. So.
Yeah, I'm like that's the. Yeah, I'm like that's the thing. I'm like, you can track how long we've been doing this by just looking at the clock face, can't you? That's hilarious. How far back does it go?
I actually prefer a photo like that, simply because of the hand position.
Yeah. I'm like, what we could do is we could do an edit, and then come back and take one more photo, and then just copy the edit from one to the next, and show people how to do that.
or we roll with this one.
Or we could just roll with this one, actually. Yeah.
Quite nice, actually.
Yeah, let's roll with that one.
Didn't make much improvements. Let's go with that one.
Yeah, awesome.
What do you want to do? Shall I send you over the file?
Up to you, man. We can do editing from your end. We can do it on my end. Up to you.
Have you got that set up so you can see both of our screens?
Yeah.
Or
not both of our screens. No, we can do one or the other, and both of our cameras.
okay, because we've got about half an hour left. So
Yeah,
how
about half an hour.
file, and then we both edit it, each of us, and we can sort of flick between them.
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah,
Have
let's do that. Okay, interesting. Oh, I'm totally up for that.
Right.
Okay. Is it uploaded to the drive?
That's one thing I did not
Okay.
get running. I'm gonna. You can see all my files.
Don't worry about it. You got you covered. It's fine. We'll go back to double cam view for a second. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. Product photography. It is really good fun doing it, and you can do all kinds of creative stuff with it. But yeah, it is what it is. And yeah, if you guys have phones and that kind of thing, you can easily do this, especially for people who maybe you're in the design school, maybe you're in engineering. I know a lot of people have to take photos of what they've made for their courseworks at uni. So if you need to do that kind of thing, using that kind of technique is a great place to start, to be able to take your photos of whatever you've made like well above and beyond what most of your course mates will do it. So it's a great way to stand out, as is like learning how to use Photoshop. I use Photoshop for a lot of my posters and that kind of thing at university, and it really makes you stand out compared to a lot of course mates, because some people will use like PowerPoint or all kinds of nonsense, whereas if you use Photoshop or some form of tool like that, maybe Photopia, the online version, you can make your work stand out massively compared to everybody else's. And it gives you way more creative options as well. All the layers and everything give you a lot of options. So yeah, highly recommended.
Okay, so I've uploaded it to your Drive link.
And I see it. Yes.
Fantastic.
So,
which also means that anyone else can jump in.
Absolutely, yes. So that is now at the bottom of the shared folder, and everybody can access that as and when they desire. And let me unfreeze my Photoshop. Oh, there we go. Right. Okay. Well, I guess we'll start editing then. Who do you want to have your screen up first, or shall I have my screen up first?
You have your screen up first.
Okay. Alrighty then. Let me pop you down in the corner there. There we go. I'll like pat you on the head. Or poke you.
I'll see
There you go. I was just poking you in the face. This is very immature.
I'll see the result in half-minute time.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I guess whoever is currently on screen can explain what they're currently doing. So I'll start with that then. So I've opened up our TIFF file in Photoshop. You can also open up TIFF files in Photopia. And I'm going to start off by doing some color correction. So as you can see on stream, we've got quite a green tint to the photo. So I'm going to convert it to a smart object. Go to our filters like we did before and do a camera raw filter. And we're going to come in here and start doing our color shifts. Now, because it's the only real color in the photo is yellow, what I'm going to do is try and just focus on getting that right, because what we could almost do is make everything else black and white and get away with it. But let's see what happens as we play around with this. We've already got a fairly neutral white balance, so I'm just going to make it a little bit cooler and then just bring in our like that. There's other ways to pick white balance. You can also pick white balance off of the photo if you're using Lightroom, which is a great way to get that to work. We can also make it black and white and then just bring out the yellow separately, but I'm not going to do that. So let's go with that, I think. Now, let's hit OK on that for now. And I'm going to start by getting rid of this bounce card in our background. And there's loads of different ways to do that. I'm going to create a new layer by going down here, this button here, and I'm going to, you see that that's been created at the top there, and I'm going to start by selecting the entire area that we want to replace. So if I come to our lassos over on the toolbar on the left hand side, I can hold down on the third item down, lassos, and I'm going to go to polyagonal lasso, which will give me a kind of very hard edged selection that I can just use to draw straight lines. And if I click round and come back to where I started, that will select the entire area just like that. And that means that whenever I do edits, they'll only apply to that area and they won't spill over into the actual photo. I'm going to grab a clone stamp tool next, and I'm going to copy our nice clean grey background and put it onto the white at the top. What the clone stamp does is it's effectively a copy tool. When you hold down Alt, you can select an area, and then you can get a representation of that area wherever your brush is. So if I click here, you'll see the two cursors moving at the same time, and I can start to paint out like that. And obviously occasionally you're going to want to press Alt again and reselect your area so you can slowly paint in without going over edges. And I'm just going to quickly whiz through and do all of that, and we can see what it looks like. What are you up to, Sam? What are you currently editing?
Oh, do you want to switch over to me and I'll show you how I'm doing?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if you can see actually. There you go.
There we go. What are you up to?
Am I live?
You are.
Okay, cool. So what I've chosen to do is to, instead of, so we see the bounce card that someone's trying to edit away. I've chosen to instead try and crop. Pick a crop that's very close. So one issue I had, which was down, I'll show you close up. Down the bottom here, we had some, I'm not going to show you that. At the bottom of the photo, the out of focus area wasn't looking terribly attractive to me. So I decided to try and crop to miss out a lot of that. And I felt that if I was going to crop to miss out a lot of that, I may as well crop close on the top and then try and get rid of some of the bounce card as well. So what I've ended up with is this sort of a composition. So I still have a bit of bounce card in the top right, but the I think we'll be able to edit that out quite easily. And most of the focus on the image is on the dial, obviously, and I've got now, with the composition, I've got drawn on one of the thirds. So to me, this is looking pretty textbook. I think this is going to go quite well. I think it's part of my style, really. I like these sort of like very long letterbox type crops. I don't know what it is, but so that's what I'm going with so far. And what I then started adding in was some graduated filters, just to get me an idea of how I could increase some vignetting around the edges, essentially. So that was a very quick thing to do for me to try out. But the problem with it is, because I have two filters that are sort of going, one's like this, one's like this, it means I have a section where they're both overlapping. So what I'm going to do now is take out those filters, and then using the paintbrush tool, I can then create an area with a nice feather and really control that easily, versus two straight graduated filters.
Awesome.
How are you doing?
This kind of interesting differences between how you would do something in Lightroom versus how you do something in Photoshop. So if we swap back to mine, I am still working on masking out my area, and what I've done is I've now selected a different area, and what I'm going to do is try and use a content-aware fill to try and smoothen out the boundaries between the fill. So if I press Shift F5, or I suspect on Mac it would be a Command F5, I'm not completely sure, hit OK on that and see what happens. It might make things better, it might not. It's always a bit of an experiment with content-aware fill. Let's see what happens. If I deselect that, see we've got a bit of messiness at the top here, but the edges are looking quite good. You know what? I'm not quite happy with that. I'm going to keep going with my clone stamp, I think, because I'm getting somewhere, which I'm quite happy with. We're starting to kind of smoothen out that background quite a lot, and then once I've got that to somewhere I'm happy, I'm going to start looking at cropping it in to a composition that I like, just like Sam has. So we've got a little bit.
That's gone very well, hasn't it?
Yeah, I do really like your composition there. I'm kind of annoyed because I can't do the same thing now. I've got to do something different.
Well, I saw you extending the background, so I thought, well, whatever composition you do, you're going to be in that area if you've spent the time doing it. Hopefully.
Well, maybe not. I might change my mind.
That's the thing. I know, that's the thing.
So yeah, currently it's a little bit mottled, this background, but as we apply edits, I can start to change it around. I'm going to leave it where it is now, and I'm going to start playing around with some crops. So let's clear this out. I'm going to go by 4x5 because Instagram, why not? And see what that looks like, because why not? It might not work very well. Let's see. Go really close in. No, I'm not sure that's working. You know what? I'm going to go back into my smart filter, my camera raw filter, and start playing around there a little bit, see what I can do. Nah, not really happy with that. I'm going to come back into this layer up here. I'm going to add another layer on top, and I'm going to just keep painting it out a little bit, very subtly, to try and even out the mottling that you can see at the top here. So I'm going to just hold down Alt to pick a colour, come in with my brush, and I'm just going to do a very broad stroke across the top here. Very, very broad, with just my brush. Doesn't matter if I paint out the top. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go over and take my layer and put it onto luminosity mask, and that's going to just even out the mottling that we've got going on, but it'll keep the color differences, so we can still keep a little bit of the actual drop off that's going on in the background. And I'm just going to come in here, grab my opacity, and just play around with fading that up a little bit so that it blends into the background. Whoops, did that on the wrong layer. Let's do it on this layer. Here we go. There we go. And then I'm going to come back in with a eraser and just come back and bring in our details again. So press E for an eraser and grab a normal hard round one.
Obviously, if you have more time, you could, since you're doing this sort of masking out and separating the subject from the background, you could potentially have more flexibility then to have different backgrounds.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and you could do a lot of different stuff with masking. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm just coming in here with my brush, and I'm just going to slowly come back on this detail of the watch so we keep that. And then we can, there we go. Just slowly bring that back. One step at a time. There we go. And I think for this, that is going to be close enough for mine. We just evened out that background quite a lot. Sam, what are you up to?
So I said I was going to use a brush round on the edge of things. I might. You need to tell me if I'm on screen.
You're on screen. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
When I ask you how it's going,
Expect I'm on screen. Cool.
Yeah.
So I said I was going to use a brush round here. I instead used a graduated filter, just at an angle. So, actually, that looks really cool. Might do an edit like that as well. Bring some color in. Anyway, so I've got one filter going at this sort of angle, and then I brought in a second one, the bottom corner, and then I've got another one at the top corner. So I've sort of had this. I've got a gradient moving left to right, and then I've got a vignette going on the right hand side, which is bringing the focus in and also hiding some of that bounce card we had. Now what I'm working on is I'm actually using a brush tool to reduce the reflection on this. So the standard looks more like that. I felt there was too much light down at the bottom of that strap, so I'm bringing that back a little bit just with a local brush adjustment. And that's working well, I think. And I just need to finish off. So with the brush adjustments, it's a bit like in Photoshop we've got a mask and you're painting in areas to say which bits you'll want changed. But right now I'm got too much, so I am. And well, the issue is at the side of this strap, my area there. The area is bleeding over into the background, which I didn't want it to. So I'm going to use an eraser now, and take that back so it's not obvious that that's how I did it. So there's a bit of a time. So this is a bit of manual work for me now.
Yeah, I'm like, it's always a bit of a task to go back in and get everything like smoothed out and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we have got auto mask, which I've not used loads, but I think that does. So in how Photoshop's got like a magic one selection tool, auto mask is trying to sort of automatically do that type of a thing. So let's give it a shot. Let's see what it can do. That's worked quite well, I think. So now if we look at the mask path, okay, that's interesting. So you can see it's actually done quite a good job of matching around the edge, but I do have some bits over here I didn't realise I had. So if we work out where those are, just over here, make sure we get them all. Cleanest possible image. There we go, just in the area we want it. Fantastic. I think that's about where I want it, really. I was in two minds about you were mentioning about bringing things down to black and white but leaving it colour.
Yeah.
It's possible, but I don't know if it needs it or not, and I don't know if I actually. Oh, do you know what I could do? So to my eye, this is looking a little bit yellow. This reflection. So what I might do is I could do a custom white balance control just on that brush area. So you see how I can change that, just the area I was painting there. I could actually bring the temperature down just a little bit from where it was. And then we've got this nice, sleek, black and white-esque looking colour palette.
Yeah.
I think that looks quite nice, actually. What I'm actually going to do, it does need, so I'm balancing it between the bottom part here and then the top part of the strap. I think on 0 it is definitely a little bit too yellow, but it's not. Doesn't need much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down halfway to maybe 5, maybe 4, just a touch, and then I'm going to go back into the main edits. So here's now our global adjustment, and I'm going to retweak the whole white balance down. So there we go. I think that's much closer to what I wanted. Am I about done? Don't know.
It's looking good.
I think I might just do some little areas like here. I've got a bit of dust. Might go in with my tool. There we go. It's done a fantastic job. Now just chasing perfection.
Ah, yeah.
One good thing about having out of focus parts of the image is, of course, the dust blurs out automatically. So
Yeah, that is a great thing. And like, it also means that when you've got dusty lenses and that kind of thing, it's less of an issue, which is a bit of a blessing in disguise.
So there's just a few little pieces. I'm not sure about that one. Because so when you take a sample, there we go. Sometimes it just so you can actually adjust this yourself. You can choose where it's taking that sample from, and sometimes it picks slightly strange ideas. So you can change it yourself, or if you just Control Z and do it again, you can then it'll do that one. And I mean, yeah, we really are literally splitting hairs, little hairs of dust here. And it's basically there. Am I going to call that done? You can see there's my. You can see the edits that I've done. Little spots. What do they call this tool?
Spot adjustment. Spot edit. Spot adjustment. It's called something slightly different on Windows version, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost done with mine as well.
Cool.
Not quite, but let's swap back to my screen and I can show everybody what's going on with mine. Yeah, so I have gone the route of black and white over the top of parts of the image and then just keeping the yellow, just to see what it would look like. And it means that we've got more of like a starched feel compared to yours. I quite like it. I've also rotated the entire image around a little bit. I would be tempted to go narrow like you have, but I'm not going to because that would be copying.
We can copy a bit.
I'm like, what I might do
really
is
like
just
that.
Bring down this just a little bit, like that. And then what I'm going to do as a final little bit, and I think you made a really good point about the wristband being very, very bright. I'm going to bring an exposure layer in and I'm going to just take that down a little bit by doing a bit of masking. So I'm just going to make the entire thing black. Once my computer processes it, there we go. Make the entire thing black. And then just come back in and just paint in our white here. So we're just making that strap just a tad darker. And it kind of matches the top a little bit there. And I really like that sharp edge that we've got going along the top. Yeah. And then I think finally, I do like the vignetting that you're adding in yours, so I am going to copy that.
That's fine. I really like the your sort of jet black contrasty look you've got going on. So
yeah,
I just realised I didn't really touch those settings so far. So I'm going back and adding some sharpness and also some contrast in places. So we're both improving each other's.
There we go.
We're both better for it.
Yeah.
So what I say, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So
absolutely, yeah. I'm actually going to come in since we're talking about detail and that kind of thing. I'm going to come back into my camera raw filter. I'm just going to bump up the texture a little bit, just to see what we can pull out. Now it's probably going to make dust a little bit more visible, but if I make the texture and clarity up a little bit, hit OK on that, see what happens. Whoa, okay, that's probably a little bit too much. Oh my gosh. Right, okay.
What is your...
Sorry?
Sorry, what are your contrast adjustments, roughly? What sort of things have you put on there?
So I've got my painted layers, then I've got a fairly extreme crushing of the background in a curve, which just effectively takes down the blacks significantly and boosts up everything else. So you'll be able to see that on stream in a sec. Then I've got a hue and saturation adjustment, which is just desaturating everything. Then I've got a very, very subtle another curves, which is just lightening bits.
Okay.
So I kind of got two curves which are doing my my contrast. And then finally I'm going to do a little bit of painting on just a new blank layer and bring in my black brush. I'm just gonna, oh, that's not black brush, let's make that actually black. There we go. I'm just gonna paint very roughly in around the watch face and then swap to a white brush, and then very, very slowly with very low opacity paint back out again. Ooh. That is way too high in opacity. Let's take that down. That's way too low. About 10%. There we go. Oh, you know what? I should be using an eraser, not a white brush. That's probably why. Let's use an eraser instead. There we go. Low opacity eraser. Very large radius, and will slowly give us back a kind of want a very strong vignette, almost like a really, really strong vignette. Are you
editing your mask there, or is that just?
No, this is just painting.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so I'm just using black and white brushes, or black brush and eraser, to just and just directly brush onto a new layer at the top. And then I'm going to just come in and do a little bit of erasing to make sure that I've got everything off the face. And I think that is me fairly happy with that. I'm just going to bring that black across a little bit more. There we go. There we go. And I think I'm going to leave it there, because otherwise I'm going to end up nitpicking lots of little bits.
Yeah.
There we go.
Me too.
So we've got my edit versus your edit. There we go.
We need to have we need a poll. Can we put them both on screen at the same time and have a poll?
Mike, I can switch between each one.
Or do we do a put it on your
we'll put it on the society
so
Instagram, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, we
do
A versus B. Yeah, yeah, that is a great idea. Actually, I really like that idea. We'll see who wins. Yeah.
Oh,
there we go.
I don't know if I'm finished though. I feel like you're gonna win.
No, I'm just gonna save. Just going to save mine and leave it be. There's still some dust and stuff. I think you've got a little bit further into getting rid of dust than I have. So you've probably got an advantage.
I think high contrast might always win it on.
I think you've got a format win, like in terms of the crop and everything.
Right. Yeah,
you've definitely got a win there.
It's just too early to tell. We can't.
Yeah, we will. I know, we'll talk about it next week and see who wins, because, yeah, I'm intrigued to see what people think. And we're not allowed to vote in the poll.
No, we never do that.
We should not do that, because also because I would technically have two votes, because I can vote with the LSU Photosoc account and with my own account. So yeah. Awesome.
There you go. Okay.
We are about out of time as well, so I guess that's going to wrap it up for today. Yeah, there we go. That was great fun. I really enjoyed that. having editing against each other is really good fun. We should definitely do that again.
Yeah, that gets really fun. Good.
Do something a bit more
maybe
like out there as well. I don't know. Have you got any ideas?
I'm just seeing on the live stream me now posing in the wrong place.
Okay. No, I'll put it onto dual screen now, so we've both got it.
Cool. Okay. Well, bye.
That was abrupt. Yeah. So thanks for joining, everybody.
Maybe next week we'll have more people can come and get involved with the editing as we do it. It'll be really good as well.
Yeah, we can pull more people into Skype and get a whole load of stuff going. So, yeah,
If we can, the stream can handle it, we'll do it.
Yeah, no, we could do it. I think we've got enough internet speed, maybe at my house. I guess we'll find out. But yeah,
super.
Yeah, all that remains is to say thank you for watching. This is all going to be uploaded to YouTube afterwards, so you guys can watch as much as you want. Hooray! Yeah, and thank you again, Sam. And we shall see you again soon.
Next week.
All right.
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Photosoc out.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the stream gone or not?